The fact is, Bawumia will never get any space in the NDC. Bawumia cannot. Bawumia will not and shall never and will never and can never and never be held in the NDC. How? Bawumia any economy in China will be our NDC. Bawumia is not a better economist than any NDC economist. No, nobody. Nipa ben obet to Bawumia compare to NDC also Bawumia better in economics than that person. Mahamudu Bawumia ni nyansa de chichire man or a textbook economist.
Abusa for a dollar versus Cedi, Cedi no I appreciate the dollar no. And no, I'm a Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Edin Simbi Akotujwa ewo UK on the ochirimu abasobode ne de some of the man Bawizi as some of abasobode no emfama no na eno ena nkrofo bi so chirimu a dabi ensem na all kan de ani nyina so bia because one also o time a wo ba no so be che dollar no ahye okotokum chese ma Cedi no abe stable then so went me ama me e ma dollar no mom eche wo hye ne botom ena titi mu de Ghana Cedi kwato ba bi kura na nyame ayadom na eye Dr. Hopeson ne Bank of Ghana governor any good board for Sami Jemfin and Crawford Edin Sise Guaquem Nasa Niama Kuya Sisia and Dr. Bawumia SCM Fabas body emano for ni good for oil no and a fin sono a fan baby or chima a economic war between US ne China no near the Nama Sawi na Aba na NDC NY Bibia a yes from and almost for policy Bia Maya. I know Chase Ednama Cedi no appreciate dollar no. Na and some way beto jaro and Crawford bit some Mugabe Masi Kevin Taylor and Hopeson Adorye at the same message at the Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Abusia fans and ever some nice messages of more than watch a video with my friends. I can never subscribe to channel in my and follow Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X. It deny fresh studios. Abusia Yensen some Nazi. Nancy, President Mahama Bidi Akunya, and fans say answer na overbano, needing a baby a dollar on a Cedi no difference a womb. Na nyame ya aduma omo be fa akunwen be some few months ago sesia even me fan said for the past month up till now no ye hu the way I see the no or appreciate dollar no we enma nkofo bi kiremu ani nyina ye nhyehyɛ papa eye omampanyi Mahama ene na pamfo finance minister Dr. Hopeson Sami Jemfin ni good board for na Bank of Ghana governor omode atoto akwan mu ena ma we nyina ekoso eno ena MPP campus omo kirema NDC nya bibia ehu bia Nina economic war ama US any amount binum na ama dollar no ama abasa enye NDC for na the policy because omonfa policy bia ento bebia eno na Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia akopie mo UK na o chirim say NDC for o challenge omonfa policies a omode agu akwama ama Cedi no appreciate dollar no emfa to dwa na saa de omo hu nyina ono no good for oil a o de bae no na ama we nyina eba abusiafo mumienti Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
The appreciation of the Cedi that we have seen recently. I think one of the things that if you ask a simple question to the NDC to point out exactly what policy they have implemented that has resulted in the appreciation of the Cedi, they cannot tell you one that has been implemented, not sort of talked about, but actually implemented. They cannot tell you one such policy. They only pass their budget in March. They've not even issued any contracts and paid for anything, pretty much. So you cannot ascribe what is happening to the currency to a policy that they have implemented. There's no such policy that has been implemented that has had that impact yet. For me, we had anticipated the impact of gold in this economy. I talked about it when we got into dire straits in 2022. Bank of Ghana had bought $5 billion worth of gold. After all the noise of the election, people are paying attention to our reserves. That is one thing, which we have built to 30 tons. Secondly, you've mentioned that the US dollar itself is on the decline globally. And that has also strengthened. If you go to Zambia, for example, the kwacha has gained a lot of ground also because you have the US dollar declining in value because of what is happening in the US with all of that. So I think those are critical. And then there's the third element, is that they are not spending. I mean, if you are managing an economy, you have to pay your bills. They are not paying IPPs, for example. This is why the doomsday is so acute. And they are not paying contractors. So when you are not spending, there's less pressure on your currency. So those are some of the reasons why you are seeing an appreciation of the currency.
And to way and Sama, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Ediakotuja, UK Montenso. Now, no see, Adam Mugabe Masi said, "Yeah, more Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, mammy." Or not necessarily why. Or Belcassa or no. And I said, then I was a Mugabe Masi, ne response of the man, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Vice President Bawumia says we okay. And I be kaka tejama. Muya says Bawumia okay. Say good for oil no. Nti she pa mode toto akwemu no. E na ama baby a Ghana dollar no aba bedru. Munafikini. Nonsense. Mini na temo. Na semo karinyanse ni mteye nonsense. Abayaba. Abeto sa dollar da baby. Abay na put measures in place to make sure say o man ni betimi agina ne naso. Wo se credit no. Uwa kwa tinafie no yavo credit ne man na gold for oil na eja mutumi editutu akwam na ama dollar no above uye munafiki. You don't know what you are talking about. Bawumia, you don't know what you are talking about. If the kitchen is too hot for you, my brother, you can still remain in the United Kingdom. Ewa Ghana. Kwatran land wa mama kwatran on cancer phone to my wa. Me maka say your mama ne penifon sa mo relax munya adwuma no munya sa Bawumia ne hwanhwa munya wa mama yen. I will handle them without fear or favor. Bawumia mo any woman January for now. But my retire mo uzo mo chama general mo no so mo call retirement. We have the man. Kwa empty noise. Woman ye kwa. Yava credit no dollar never from yava credit ma munafiki tiza Bawumia. For what? You think that Ghanaians are fools? Nani ama ko ya eka nyina ne mo sisi maso. Akro for tips. You come and answer questions on PDS. Very soon you answer questions on Walugu Dam. If you say, well, you better jam on the free sana. Mutiminya no kasa. In less than 5 months, move power, Mutiminya no kasa. Useless ones in opposition. You continue to be there. Say go for oil. Munafiki for oil. Bawumia munafiki for oil. A true for Nia.
Mugabe Masi so the message of the man Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia no. Na no see yana wamunim Kevin Ekobedu Taylor and also a pulley and Bawumia na economic policies be out by Kevin Taylor so a pulley near my down. Na see and also the two.
The fact to say Bawumia will never get any space in the NDC. Bawumia cannot. Bawumia will not and shall never and will never and can never and never be held in the NDC. How? Bawumia any economy in China will be our NDC. Bawumia is not a better economist than any NDC economist. No, nobody. Nipa ben obetuni Bawumia compared to NDC also Bawumia better in economics than that person. Mahmoud Bawumia ni nyansa ya de chichire man or a textbook economist. On tiasie e kasa keke. Enti ade be chire sa wote se Mahmoud Bawumia e kasa same way about the city or say city appreciation. If you ask a simple question to the NDC to point out exactly what is policy they have implemented that has resulted in the appreciation of the city, they cannot tell you one. Or see, and the Ubusa NDC for say a dear policy and no more implement here ama dollar no and what the above for city regions or say NDC for to me control. And I mean Busa Bawumia say what is policy? What is policy? Is it policy as a word? Or policy as steps or things you put in place to make sure things are right? Because I'll get you say what was NDC for say policy. Mahmoud Bawumia, how many policies did you present to Ghanaians from 2013 to 2024? He goes on to say that they only passed their budget in March. They have not even issued any contract and paid for anything. So you cannot ascribe what is happening to the currency to a policy that they have implemented. Into this year, NDC for omo passy omo budget renche. Into dollar na and the echo from no untumin kase NDC for a bibi sunkumbia because omo untumin ka policy ba kwa omotimi gina so ama dollar na form. To me, if the NDC cannot tell me one policy, that's a dollar na be do through a 12, the NDC should not tell me any policy. Because he told me so many policies and he moved the dollar from 3 to 17. If the NDC today, they come out to tell Ghana for say, we are not going to tell you any policies, but the dollar is going to come down. They should not give me any policy. All that I need as Obiam Beton engines, Obiam Kofanyama, Obiam businessman, I need the dollar to drop. For you, Bawumia, to tell me policies for 8 years, for the dollar to move from 3.8 to 17, I would rather stick with the party that will not tell me any policy, but the dollar will come down. Actually, wait, Jimmy. Actually, this guy, he sees all of you. Oh, say, the style of politics, the JHS kind of politics, the primary school kind of politics. Boy, be no say, or yet show be or skate, you know. Boy, be no doorbell, no, cheddar, the cheddar kind of politics. Oh, Kutie, don't make an catch them in Namen country Ghana for a cheddar kind of politics about Bawumia. Bawumia is doing the cheddar kind of politics. Cheddar. Bellboy cheddar kind of politics. Inti debiano say koye man dia obey the day and koye dia you be fault. Mahamudu Bawumia is playing the cheddar kind of politics. Now what is policy? Because when the president of the republic, Berman Kasano, he spoke about how the reason why the dollar is going down, and what did it echo from say it is being supported by strong forest reserve. How do you get dollars into Ghana? So President Mahama Kase, and the dollar I appreciate it 3.9%. And the reason is that we are getting a lot of dollar inflows. The question is, how do you get dollar into your country? Do you need a policy to get dollar into your country? So how are you going to get dollar into your country? Something needs to happen for dollar to come into your country. If you knew that this policy will work, why didn't you get dollar into the country? Mahmoud Bawumia. Onse Bawumia, he's in a political party. Majority of them are illiterates. Majority of them don't go to school. In Tomu Bawumia, so a crutchini in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is the king. Majority of Omomo MPP muno, Omunko school, Omunte brofo. Inti Omu Bawumia so nimnyansa, and every time biano, NDC for who Bawumia muhunu say as a joker. Because there are more learned people in the NDC. They understand the facts. They question the system. But 90% of MPP for no, in their head, Bawumia is intelligent. That is why they are still hailing Bawumia. Because see, a political party, chairman, to me, ebe regional chairman, it should tell you the level of intelligence. Our party, no, a woman. 90% of the people in the party, they are illiterates. Omu ko school. Inti omu bodam nibi also a school. They see him as God. That is why Bawumia is making his way inside MPP. Now, what is policy? Now, after Musa Bawumia, policy now kano. This is policy. Let's try and read policy. A policy is a set of principles. It's a set of principles, rules, guidelines that govern actions and decisions within an organization, government, or group. Policies are designed to create consistency, fairness, and efficiency in how things are done. What a policy. Mahmoud Bawumia say, NDC for enka one policy ama and the dollar neko form. Na NDC for to minka. And I may explain what is policy to you. The principles were not followed. Which principles were not followed? How to make sure accountability works. It was not followed. Nepotism took over. Corruption, we could not basically collect revenue to the point where we as nation, from the taxes. The revenues we were collecting, it was going into Hopeson, which is your company. We are talking about ECG, leakages at it. So the principles now MPP went to NDC, and then I say or minor. The NDC are seeing these positives because the principles, they are following the principles. To get a policy, it is your ability and your will to follow a certain principle that will guide or govern your actions. Because when you live in a country, a third world country, now the $58 million, you are not being principled. Your actions are not being governed by the principles. Until at the end of the day, the people will lose. Into policy, it is nothing. Policy is just a word. There are components that comes together to form policy. And we are missing. And that is the principles John Mahama is following. And those components, when they come together, it will move your dollar from 17 to 12. Mr. P, Mr. S. This is Mahmoud Bawumia. He said he introduced 33 policies, meaning cluster of principles coming together to get 33 policies. The question here is, The 33 policies Bawumia catcher in opposition, in power, say or introduce, how did it impact Ghana, our economy? 33 policies should be able to leave the dollar at 9 or 4 before you leave office. This is the joker.
Choboy, enti usha ejuma mabaye as vice president. The entire me person move vote money as president. Number 1, usha ejuma mabaye as vice president. Let me kind at least 33 policy initiatives are mediaba in government. Digitalization war unpack. One constituency, one ambulance war. Agenda 111.
If you look at my work as vice president, I can mention several policies I have championed. Everybody says no vice president has worked hard more than I have.
So many different policies are my championing in government. Nina akosi Obia kase ushe vice president Bawa Ghana ha unya vice president awaye ejuma say Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Unya vice president Ubisa John Mahama say obedi vice president on pointing out one policy baku pa or the buy baku me 33 on pointing out.
Ask my opponent John Mahama what he was able to achieve as vice president. There is absolutely nothing. Promote me from vice president to president.
Only baku 33-0 enti munyina munim say vice president ejumano mapasi enti mum promote me na munko president me we vice president ejumano baku 33-0 enti munyina munim say vice president ejumano mapasi enti mum promote me na munko president me we vice president ejumano mum promote me na munko enkodi president ejumano. Munyina munim say agrono abaso a efri anapatututu eno anono munim say agrono abaso pa.
This is the guy. He almost became president. Yanya fast. Say anke ameni andawa. Anka ko come pushing my by force. Say president. This is the guy who almost became your president. This is the guy. Now take a step back. I feel now who consume me. I feel now who take it. Bawumia ono tumi kasara wasre and say your body too shire o tumi kasara wasaso sire. Sit back and analyze the body language, the cohesion, how coherent he is. See the way he's able to dialogue. Nya botre ube be bia adene wo ye bo careless kiti. I swear to God kakwe be the president.
Enti we eye de Kevin Taylor so e de aba betudwa ono so chirema Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia na kasa ne policies a wode bae no wa pulling them down na wo na now say economic messiah Ghana fo nyina mo nsem famro then so dollar no e che wo hye no botum anti after Kevin Taylor na yenua yenim eye afafranto yira Hopeson Adorye Mama Jennifer Queen the best friend ono so e den sem bia ba efa de Bawumia ekekan ho na o chirema good for you na wo ka no na o twi bia ne ye to fuel Ira Hopeson Adorye nso nsema o de tu dwane
fuwe omututu musa continuously sa kosi se omufra ban mu. There was not a single occasion yes good for oil na banti no yatifu eso kakra e bien sida ebre bia na eden na ekosoro. Now number 2 muse start ya ebeba form that time no mo start no gram say na what 13 cities mu wie na won say ko hit 20 and a baba dollar no and the big gina 17 no dollar na 7 na me we mo start fuel na good oil no na dollar no 13 but dollar no sa ko sura ko hit 20 and the baba na big gina 17 plus and then na musa say we mo di free akonya so no so we go for oil no emfaso a eba so no every yibia no na oil no kosro ana o dollar no so a wo si wo yi pressure na free so no eno so na kosro sa na Ghana sika no depreciate na eba form aban foforo ba yi ana o se send ye be ya pressure mama meto dollar no so ma yi sika no konko depreciate ntino ye mo obi akwan Emma no export to good. Say ube export to good a buying and a bayamon. And a buying a dinch share by say yanya good board. I don't buy a good board. No. Thank God I'm saying or more inaugurate the good board. It is say no. Ubie niwa ube timi ato good. Akase or sporto directed yako. Do you know why? Ghana yen sheye mu no. Obi obest sporto good akwa bontin bia no. Okokoton a as say sika no dollar no. As say about 80% or so eba back to Ghana. Now I just say back na abanya fa. Ne mum as say ba eba wono obetimi akwa koyi sika odi beye adwuma within the country. Send ye beya ebe support the economy. Ebe ma sika no enkonko too much pressure so a ebe kwa koyi. Sa pepepe na ban ehye you know our the two honum. And so under MPP government, we share the estimated good. A free o mayimu a na emu duye pa.
Okay, I bring to be a finalist. I could have
That's right. But sikanda say babak no. Just emu 20% crime. The difference between gold for oil and Mahama's policy what the gold board buy and say Mahama policy no ama oil prices baffle for 5 or 4 consecutive times. Yatiti fuwe so sa yatiti so sa manaba bedru baby edru intense yedim se ebesa first ebia hon mo ani atiso ba ko wo ho ani atumu be mienu ne wahu ne no but when the oba ye no wu se entiti so no edisu sa eba. It should tell you something. Number 2, with local currency no appreciate continuously against the dollar. So it means to say now you can say demand no emro supply no so because of insheshe papa say wo hwehwa wo benya nti no ade no honum
enti abusia we ye adwenkyra Mugabe Masi Kevin Taylor ene Yera Hopeson Adorye akire ede afa Dr. Bawumia ne nsema wakeka wo UK say di ne appreciate dollar no ni nyina enam good for oil a ode ba ye ne ade na NDC for enye bibia yesronko ema Cedi no appreciate dollar no adwenkyra enuanum so omde aba betu dwane na de mi bisa say ye nyina ye wa ha tama Cedi no dollar na ebubu ne kura no NPP for sorry a na Russia Ukraine war COVID then as at now that we speak Russia Ukraine war said that one ana umu refi. So if that time no you people were complaining say Russia Ukraine war na Cedi no I ban sa atete apansam na still Russia Ukraine war ewo ho na so obi aba na obo no homodin. Why don't you give the credit to them? Ana ankwa mamunti no it's something different. So you have to find a way to lambast everything that the present government is doing. It's something that you don't have to do because also your economic messiah by Ghana for months amount now be say ube chisi the national bottom when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. Ampa or expose you because your fundamentals were weak. That is why the exchange rate no expose you. And right now, no, the fundamentals are strong, and the exchange rates cannot expose them, and no any problem. As the UK na blah blah blah. If you don't have anything to say or to help the development of this nation, please. No be forget about your political affiliation. Just give credit to whoever is due. Abusia for Bawumia nensam ne yakazi edi akira ebe nsem bebre enti kakra ewum no aha fresh studios mesro sebo mo den wa subscribe am no wa share video ma for front saka na fi follow Facebook, TikTok, Instagram and X. Dr. Hopeson, Good Board, Bank of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama. We salute you all.